Hello and welcome to the Doof Book Club, our monthly live stream discussion of a book chosen by you, our listeners. My name is Archidon Loquacious, and this is my co-host, um, Archidon Longwinded. Please accept this thought sending, everyone.
So we really can't change our names?
Those are the rules.
Damn it. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope you are all having a wonderful Friday evening. I'm sure we know a lot of you folks in chat, but if you are joining us here for the very, very, very first time, welcome. We are Doof Media. Well, we're part of Doof Media. We can't really say that anymore, Matt, because we're only a small part of this whole thing now.
We represent Doof Media.
We do. We represent Doof Media, and we make podcasts all about the stories we love. We also arrange and organize this monthly book club. Matt, explain to the people that probably already know what this is.
Well, each month, Scott and I select 5 books from a pool submitted to us by our wonderful Doof community. We put up a poll for all of the supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/doofmedia, and then we let them vote on which they'd like us to talk about. The book with the most votes wins, and then we all read it.
That's right. And then we meet up on the last Friday of every month, and we chat about the book for a couple of hours. Matt and I will pull slides from the book, about 15, depending on the book, and we'll just read those slides, talk about them for a couple of hours. This is a fully interactive thing. The reason we're streaming this and we're not just making a podcast and releasing it like we do with all our other content is because we want to hear from you and we want to talk to you while we're doing this. We think of this as a book club, except instead of meeting on the couches at Barnes & Noble, we're meeting on the internet, which is actually, we planned this way before quarantine, but now, like, who's laughing now, Barnes & Noble?
Oh.
So where was I? Hello, everyone. Say hi. Who do we have in chat here? We have Thomas. We have World Editor, the editor of the whole world.
Wow,
is in our chat right now.
Intimidating. We have Toby. We have Victory with Ice.
We have Prof. Were you waiting for me to pick up?
I was. Yeah, I figured we were gonna do a thing. You know?
Well, we didn't talk about that beforehand. We have Prof. We have Jess. We have Sammy. How's it going, everyone? We have Giora. How's it going? All right, let's get into it. Let's do it. What book did the patrons pick this month?
This month we are back to finish up the 3rd book in the Gentleman Bastard series, The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch.
All right, so normally we read a little segment of the book here, but I think we realize everyone listening to this conversation knows what the book's about, right? Right?
Yeah, they kind of have to, since it's the third of a series. I bet we don't have a lot of
what we're going to do is we're going to move right into our overall thoughts on the book, and while we are giving you guys our overall thoughts, we want to hear from you. What were your overall thoughts on this book? Had you read this in the past? Did you reread it for the book club? And what did you think of the Republic of Thieves? Matt, what did you think of the Republic of Thieves?
I enjoyed it, but it was definitely my least favorite of the Gentleman Bastards books. I thought, it had a lot of that good, fun Gentleman Bastards stuff in there that I come for, but also it had a lot of stuff that was not that, and I didn't like that.
Sure.
What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on it. It was my least favorite in the series. I think the thing I want to make clear here is how much I love these characters. I think, Locke and Jean are characters that I have grown to absolutely love, and I will read anything that these characters are in because I love them to death. But I do think this is the weakest of the 3 books. I thought that the other 2 stories really hooked me more. The twists and turns of those stories interested me more. I think I'm going to have a lot to say about the 5-year game and the ways in which I didn't think it worked. Whereas I think it's interesting that the interlude parts where they were putting on the Republic of Thieves and all the twisty and turny and kind of heist-like trying to solve problems that just kept compounding was my favorite part of the book by far. I really enjoyed all that stuff. I was not a fan of the 5-year game stuff at all. I have a lot of negative things to say about Sabbatha as a character, which is really disappointing.
Uh-huh.
I was looking forward. I was looking forward to getting to know Sabbatha. Like, she's a character that's been built up so much in the previous two books, and I was left a little disappointed by her. And we've got that to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and I think one of the things I'm very interested in seeing is the ways in which this conversation makes me like this book more, because that is always what happens to me. Anytime I'm like lukewarm on a book, after I finish book club, I like it a lot more. So I'm like jazzed for that to happen. But I finished this book the other day, and I was just kind of like, oh, that's it. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I admit I have a secret hope that we will find some like connections in this conversation that sort of help rehabilitate it in my mind,
Mm,
because probably my number one sort of issue is like it feels like in all the other books everything just came together beautifully at the end, and in this one it's like there are like five different things that all sort of it's like you can see how they were meant to come together but they just don't.
yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
uh,
I,
and yeah,
I
yeah.
I think, well, let's get into this when we get into the actual slides. But I mean, we're seeing in chat here that this is not that popular of an opinion. I mean, we see that both Toby and Prof love Sabbatha, which is great. I wish I did too. We do have people like Andrew who are saying that the things that happen during the 5-year game seem more like pranks and luck rather than clever tricks. I think I agree with that. Jess says the 5-year game was very lackluster and the interludes were amazing. Yeah, I'm on that page as well. Um,
Yeah. One thing that I like that I think we'll have plenty of time to talk about is I actually really enjoyed the Bonds Magi and how they are portrayed and how sort of intimidating they are. Like it's a particular kind of like magical fantasy portrayal that I am really fond of. And it worked on me really well.
sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, that is interesting because I think there's parts of the way in which this book clearly starts to set up like a story wide or a series wide arc that I did not like, but I agree that the expanded world of the Bonds Magi I thought was very, very interesting. I can't wait to talk about that with you. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. So how about we just get right into it? Sammy says they were very into the Sansa twins, who I also loved, and I don't remember them being like this in The Lies of Locke Lamora. I loved
Uh,
them. They were so funny. I don't like.
yeah.
I remember them being goofy in that, but not as like irreverently. So maybe it's just because they're younger here. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know.
They're at a different point in their lives, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. If anything, like what was funny is the first time I read through it, the whole time I was just thinking like, oh, it's so sad because they're dead.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it was hard for me to be like, yay! It's like no, they die soon.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah,
shall we?
yeah. Let's get right into it, folks, and let's talk about the very first slide.
All right. So on assignment to rob the audience of a hanging, young urchin Locke first meets the long-awaited Sabbatha. No Teeth's response was to lunge and snatch the leather cap off Beth's head. He yanked it so hard that her kerchief came off as well, and an untidy spray of reddish-brown curls tumbled to her shoulders. Locke's jaw fell. There was something so indefinably lovely, so right about seeing that hair free in the sunlight, that he momentarily forgot that his enchantment was expressly one way, and that this was anything but convenient for their task. As Locke stared, he noticed that only the lower portion of her hair was actually brown. Above the ears it was rusty red. She had it colored once, and it had grown out since. Beth was even faster than No Teeth once her shock wore off, and before he could do anything with her cap, it was back in her hands. She slapped him viciously across the face with it. Ow! Not placated, she hit him again, and he cringed backward. Locke recovered his wits and assumed the vacant expression used inside the hill by the uninvolved when someone nearby was getting thrashed. Stop, stop! No Teeth sobbed. If you ever touch this cap again, Beth whispered, shaking him by his collar, I swear to Azaguia, who numbers the dead, that I will deliver you straight to her, you stupid little ass. I promise, I promise. She released him with a scowl, and a few deft movements made her red curls vanish again beneath the tightly drawn kerchief. When the leather cap came down to seal them in, Locke felt a pang of disappointment. "You're lucky nobody else saw," said Beth, shoving No Teeth forward. "Gods love you, you little slug. You're just lucky nobody else saw. Quick now, at my heel, you two."
So this is the moment, Matt. This is the moment where Locke falls in love with Sabitha, which
Uh-huh.
is strangely when he realizes she's a redhead. And as Jess is saying in chat right now, knowing how the book ends makes this scene pretty creepy,
It
which is
does.
exactly why I pulled it. That I think is the fascinating thing about this book. This book does not have the twists and turns of the like the Frank Ocean level of heistiness where Locke reveals like his deep-seated grand plan all the time, but it has just as many twists and turns happening in it. They're just happening to our characters, not happening because of our characters. And so the way this book reveals Locke's origin and offers an explanation for why he has this kind of never-ending beyond a crush love for Sabitha is horrifying in a way. And I love that like the way Scott Lynch sets it up right here. At the beginning where you're kind of like this scene, the first time I read it, I specifically remember just being like, why is he so enamored by red hair? I mean, I guess it's rare, but okay. And then like, why is she so angry about this? And we get answers to both of these questions, pretty satisfying answers, I think.
Sure. I, I, s- I guess the ultimate reveal of the book, just to jump, all the way to the end, uh, like it did still kind of feel like it came out of left field. It's one of those things where you're just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a what?
Yeah, yeah.
Like and like technically it is set up. It's just like it's set up in a way where you didn't notice it being set up, and so you're just kind of like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we're jumping like 20 slides ahead. But
Yeah.
but here's we've talked you and I have talked about twists, right? And reveals. Um and the ways in which we think they work and the ways in which we think they don't. And in my opinion, the best twist or the best reveal is one that recontextualizes everything that came before it. So I think the thing that works about the Locke reveal at the end of it is how it recontextualizes his love for Sabitha. The thing that doesn't work for me about it is basically everything else,
Uh-huh.
because this person that he's revealed to be is meaningless to me. I don't like, who is that? Okay, it's some magi. Like I understand like thematic or not even narratively, like the reveal that actually you're a magi, which is these people you hate more than anything. That works, but just who it is and what that means, and I was just like, oh, um, okay.
Yeah.
Like like it doesn't make me look back at the lies of Locke Lamora and be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like I think it works in this moment right here, where I can look at this slide right here and go, "Oh my god, that makes sense. It makes total sense now." And that's the level at which it works wonderfully for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
everything else, I did not love it.
I mean, the thing is, ever since the first book, we have known that Locke was probably somebody because,
Sure.
like, he's this orphan who wanders out of the burned catch fire, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've known that all along. I'm pretty sure. Um, and it's interesting actually how in the first chapter of this book they actually bring that up like 15 times. They bring up like, oh yeah, he's that Catchfire orphan boy. He wandered out of the ashes, and like they just remind you over and over again that Locke is this orphan who emerged from this fire.
Sure. Sure.
Which again it is actually setting this up. It's just that this being the explanation just feels so like who's this guy and
Yeah.
and and the other thing is like I was looking I really thought the explanation would be something along the lines of like explaining why he loves stealing so much. Like
Mm-hmm.
I did I miss something? Like was something about this particular mage that he's supposed to be descended from, like was he some kind of great thief and we don't know about it? Because like the most salient feature of Locke as a character to me is his like his like obsession with being a thief. Like he
Sure.
loves
Sure.
being a thief, right?
I mean,
And yeah.
no, I don't. I mean, yes and no. I think you could squint at it and be like, okay, like I see, like he's this he was this super powerful mage that, like went beyond anything the Bonds Magi was doing and was like completely resistant to the rules and completely resistant to what he was supposed to do. Like I think you could draw a line there, but no, I don't think there's a specific like fully explains why he loves to steal type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We did jump to the end there, but it seemed I wanted to. I guess I kind of wanted to get that out of the way anyway. So now we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
talk about the book more specifically.
I mean, in chat they're talking like Wonk is talking about how actually your magic dude being meaningless to the reader is pretty intentional. Locke didn't believe himself to be the other dead person, not in any real sense. I totally agree with that. I just feel like it's kind of the linchpin on which a certain segment of the book turns, because like I mean that's the thing is if you look at the 5-year game, it doesn't matter. Like who wins and who loses doesn't actually matter at all, right? Like and that's like that's the whole thing that's moving the plot forward. That's I mean the main part of the book. There's this interlude part, but the main part of the book is the struggle to do this, and really that's kind of deflection because and I kind of like the way that's deflection because it's deflection for the Magi because they're doing other stuff and using it. It's deflection for Lamora because he's using it to just get closer to Sabbatha and rekindle that relationship. So like they don't care about the 5-year game. But I did get to the end of the scene where it's revealed who the winner is, and I'm just like, oh, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody actually cares about this, and this was like the whole book. It's really interesting. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I think he's trying to do some very specific things with that. I just didn't think it worked for me.
Yeah.
I kept waiting. Like, the big thing for me is I kept waiting for the interlude section and the 5-year game section to kind of come together in this beautiful way, because I think that's something that Lynch has done very well in the past 2 books is intermesh these stories he's telling in this really satisfying way. And it never really did to me. It just kind of felt like the interludes just kind of end and this just kind of ends. It just feels like the book just kind of ends.
Yeah, right. The ending leaves you cold. Like that's the thing is, as negative as we've been so far, and we've been unusually negative.
We're gonna stop. I swear.
I actually enjoyed this book like while reading it. It's just the ending is so just like, oh, that it just leaves you very like really like I'm not satisfied. Like yeah, okay, so you know to riff on what you said a second ago, what people were chatting about, like okay, so maybe Locke doesn't believe that he's actually this mage, and maybe he is indeed not actually this mage.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so what? Like then what? Then that's even more frustrating. If anything, it's just like okay, Sabbatha left because she doesn't trust him, and he doesn't actually believe that he's this guy, but he is kind of tormented by it, and that's the end. And you're like, oh, I guess that kind of sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it's also kind of frustrating when there's like when the whole book is like about their romantic misunderstandings and how you just want them to get together, and then they just like show almost zero growth along that axis.
Yeah, I mean, well, they get back together, but I mean, like,
sort of, yeah.
They do. It's just that they're torn apart again by terrible Bonds Magi people.
Yeah, sure, but why does she like they're torn apart, but they're only torn apart because the Arkadama shows her something that could have been faked anyway, and you're like, okay, so
but it's her worst nightmare. A person that just loves her for her hair color.
But he's loved her like her whole life, like unfalteringly loved her whole life. Like how like God damn it, how much more do you have to?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's part of this relationship that is inherently frustrating, right? Like, and I almost like it designed frustration that these two people just can't communicate the way that they feel at all. And it's like that. I think frustration is how you're supposed to feel about that when you're just reading them and you're like, you guys got to be fucking kidding me. But we've talked about like every single slide I pulled without actually getting to the slides. So why don't we move on and like circle around to these things when we actually get there?
Okay.
So Locke and Jean are. Remember, we have to remember that at the start of this book, Locke is dying, right? He's been poisoned at the end of Red Seas Under Red Skies, and he's dying. And they bump into Archdama Patience, who was offering them a solution to this. Um, as he stared at the eerie glow, Jean felt a cold itch behind his eyes and a hard pressure against the fingertips of his right hand. Reeling, he saw images flash in his mind, fold upon fold of pale skin, needles punching in and out of delicate lace, the rough edge of a cloth unraveling into threads. The pressure on his fingers was an actual needle, moving up and down in an endless steady dance across the cloth. "Oh," he muttered, putting his hand to his forehead as the sensation receded. "What the hell was that?" "Me," said the woman, in a manner of speaking. "Have you ever recalled someone by the scent of their tobacco, or a perfume, or the feel of their skin? Deep memories without words?" "Yeah," said Locke, massaging his temples. Jean guessed that he'd somehow shared in the brief vision. "In my society, we speak mind to mind. We announce ourselves using such impressions. We construct images of certain memories or passions. We call them sigils." She hitched her laced sleeve back up her wrist, where the black rings had entirely lost their ghostly gleam, and smiled. "Now that I've shared mine with you, you're less likely to jump out of your skin if I ever need to speak mind to mind, rather than voice to ear." "What the hell are you?" said Jean. "There are 4 of us," said the woman. "In an ideal world, the wisest and most powerful of the 5th circles. If nothing else, we do get to live in the biggest houses." "You rule the bonds, Magi?" said Locke, incredulously. "Rule is too strong a term. We do occasionally manage to avert total chaos." "You have a name?" "Patience." "What? You have some rule against telling us now?" "No, it's what I am called. Patience." "No shit! Your peers must think pretty highly of you." "It doesn't mean anything, any more than a girl named Violet needs to be purple. It's a title. Archdama Patience. So have we decided that no one's going to be murdering anyone here?" So I want to use this slide to talk about the Bonds Magi and talk about what we learn about the system of the magicians, because I do think this is the one way in which Lynch really expanded upon his world here that I find very, very interesting.
Absolutely.
So first of all, like, the second a character tells me that their name doesn't mean anything, my gut reaction is to be like, yeah, it does. So, like, what are the 4 leaders of they're called Temperance, Patience. I forgot the other 2. Shoot, I should have written them down.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's okay. Chad will tell us. This is why book club's great, because I'm sure
Yeah.
you folks have it memorized. There's Foresight. Thank you, Jess. And
And
it starts with a P, and the other one starts with a P. There's 2 P's. I remember that. Damn
Patience.
it. No, Patience. We already got that one. Providence? Is it Providence?
I did just want to point out that her sigil actually goes perfectly with her actual original name being the
Seamstress. Yeah.
seamstress. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I was immediately like, okay, why did they name themselves this? Because I just don't believe that the names don't mean anything, right?
Well, especially because her whole plot line is that this whole thing is a long con, that where she is just demonstrating patience to fuck them over, basically.
Sure. So I think that's really fun. I love, like, the concept of the names, and that they, like, no one reveals. They have this deep seated, like, at the core of them name. I love Patience and her relationship with the Falconer, who's a character I really did not give a shit about at all. In this movie, before this book, I was just like, oh, he was that asshole from the first book, and then he got what was coming to him, and I was like, good. And then I just kind of moved on with my life, and then it's like, oh no, here's his mom, and she hates him, but also she loves him, and I do like that. Like, it's revealed at the end there that she does get revenge for him, even if she had severe disagreements with him. I think that's really cool. But I didn't pull the slide, but the scene where she shows them the meeting amongst the 4 of them and the other speakers is really, really cool. I liked all that stuff a lot. I like the speaking mind to mind. I like how their society works. I like this idea of, like, there's this hidden thing that they don't know, this hidden power that they're not sure of. Like, one of the long-standing questions of this world has been, who the fuck were the people that made all this cool elder glass shit, and what the hell happened to them? And right. I liked in the first book that that's just something that goes unanswered. Like, I like that the first book was just, okay, here's this kid in this world, he's doing this caper, and it's really cool. But I do agree that if you continue to write books in this series, eventually you have to start answering these questions. And that's what it seems Lynch is doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I love that. I mean, it answers the question, or rather, it addresses the question, but it still leaves us to wonder. Like they really mostly they just bring up the idea of like, well, magic is super dangerous. We know
Hmm.
that probably it was some magical cataclysm that wiped them out, and so we have this policy in order to specifically designed to avoid the same fate.
Yeah.
Um, but like you were saying, like I just love the aesthetic of like mysterious wizards in robes, sort of like shuffling around inscrutably and playing games above the heads of the mortals, and being
Yeah.
invisible and mysterious, and just that to me is way more fun than like, and then they shot a fireball, I think it conveys the like power and mystery and kind of awe of it a lot better this way.
Yeah, and I think maybe the reason why I was so disappointed with the 5 year game stuff is because I think as it's set up here, it sounds like such a cool thing. Like just think of it just as the concept, right? The concept is there's these uber powerful mages that live in this place, and they have made rules for themselves that they're not allowed to interfere in politics in any way. So they really have just taken the concept of democracy and turned it into a game for their own whim, and they're hiring people to manipulate elections in their favor. And it sounds like such a perfect thing to throw Loch Lamora into. I guess the reason why it was disappointed to me is because like I never really felt like the things that they were doing in that regard were like that clever, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean. Like bribing public officials, bribing people to vote, um, beating people up and spying on your enemy is just like, yeah, I guess, and that all makes sense. But
Yeah.
like, I was expecting some crazy Loch Lamora shit here,
Well,
and I never got some crazy Loch Lamora shit.
I mean, I was expecting it to be especially crazy because we portrayed Sabbatha as like the mysterious lost gentleman bastard who, maybe was the best of them. You don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I was expecting it to be absolutely wild because it's like, oh, it's gentleman bastard versus gentleman bastard using all of Chain's training, and it was just kind of like you said, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that's probably what I would do in that situation.
yeah,
Just being given resources and told to rig an election. These are the things that I would do.
yeah.
Not particularly creative.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think the idea that she just like turncoated his closest advisor because he's addicted to drugs, I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, the good idea, but that's not the most clever thing in the world. It's
Right.
like, I mean, yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to be critical because they're and to Jess's point, like the plan at the end, the reason they got the one representative to kind of turncoat is that was a cool idea, and how they found a way to get him his bribe, right? Which is basically, um, we're just gonna use the guy that's been compromised. That's clever. Like that's clever
Hmm.
stuff. But I don't know. I just I think you're right that the book did a very good job of building up this conflict. Like the second they get to the city and are told, "Oh, your opponent is going to be Sabbatha," you're just like, "Oh fuck, it's
Yeah.
on. It's on." Not only is this going to be dramatic as hell because these two people's history with each other, but yeah, like gentleman bastard versus gentleman bastard. And I do think Lynch did a very good job of setting up this conflict through the exercise that Chains has them do, right? The exercise of spotting the colors of the cloth in the bag and the counting of the buttons. That
Yeah.
was a really great scene. I love that scene. It was tense, and Sabbatha's ideas to kind of put one up on Locke were so perfect, and I loved it. And I don't think that's an accurate depiction of what goes down in the 5 year game. And yeah, to Wonk's credit, like Locke is not up on his game. I think part of the point of this is that these two people are so kind of distracted and enamored with each other that they're both just not really playing at at the highest level. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I think ultimately the book is not really about that because
Right.
it's such a
Right.
small part of the book,
Yeah.
really. Like the actual dynamics of that are such a small part of the book. Like a ton of the book is given over to the backstory when they're still in Kimura,
Hmm.
Kimura, and then of course a huge amount of it is the rest of the flashbacks to the play. Um, and then like a big chunk of the remainder is like, okay, Locke has to get cured of his horrible sickness, and then a big chunk of what's left of that is just them trying to rekindle their relationship, and then it's like just kind of the fringe is actually the 5 year game, which should be where all the fun gentleman bastard stuff is, but it's just kind of so
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, we're not making good time today,
We are
so I think
not.
we
We
should
got to
move on.
we got to move on. So let's
All right.
talk about depression a little bit.
Yeah. So Jean confronts Locke about his tendency to completely shut down when he's not engrossed in a caper and accuses him of having a death wish. Shut it. Just shut it. You know, when you're healthy, you'll laugh the gods right in their faces. But when you're convalescing, sweet hell, you are a miserable bastard. I've always admitted. No, you've never admitted this. You don't stand still, Locke. I played in Talvarar when we talked about retiring on our money, but that was bullshit, and we both knew it. You don't retire. You don't even take holidays. You move from scheme to scheme, jumping around like a spider on a hot skillet. And when you're forced to stand still, when you don't have 1,000 things to keep you distracted from your own thoughts, you actually want to die. I see that now. I'm so goddamn slow and stupid, I see it for the first time. What the hell are you talking about? You and I, in the boat, after we torched the Glassboro, after we killed Bug's murderer. Do you remember what we talked about? What you were like? And Velverazzo. You tried to finish the Grey King's work by drowning yourself in wine. Now this. You're not just cranky when you're ill. Locke, you have the... Look, it's called Inlixgablablablablabla. It's a, it's a High Vadran word. I learned about it when I was studying as an initiate of Azaguia. It means death love, death desire. It's hard to translate. It means you have moods where you absolutely want to destroy yourself. Not as some self-pitying idle notion either, as a certainty. For Paralandro's sake, Jean, I wouldn't want this if I had a fucking choice. You don't want it up here, says Jean, pointing at his own head. You want it somewhere deeper, so deep you can't recognize it. I think you've got some logical, noble excuse for showing patience the door, but it's really that darkness inside, trying to fuck you over once and for all. Something has you so scared you're seeing everything backwards. What is it then? If you're so smart, what is it? I don't know. Maybe patience can read thoughts like a book, but I sure as hell can't. However, I can tell you what the hell I'm scared of. Being alone. Being the very last one of us standing. All because you're a selfish, stubborn coward. Not fair, wheezed Locke. So, yeah.
So, first of all, Jean is and remains my favorite character in these books.
Yeah.
He is just wonderful, and I think he kind of has much less to do in this book than he does in Red Seas, and maybe that's literally why I like Red Seas better, is because it's much more Jean focused than this one is. He's kind of sidelined in a lot of the stuff because the focus of this book is Sabitha and Locke. But I really love him, especially at the beginning here. Like, first of all, I want to say that Scott Lynch like writes arguments very well, and some of the most captivated I was when reading this book is when two of the characters that care a lot about each other are yelling at each other, whether it be Jean and Locke or whether it be Locke and Sabitha. I think that's really wonderful. Or hell, whether it be the Falconer and Patience either. Like, I think those moments in the book were some of my favorite moments because I think he just writes the dialogue and those arguments very, very well. But I was a little bummed that John just doesn't have as much to do here. He's just kind of hanging out. He's there.
Yeah. Well, he's being Locke's friend, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I love him for that, right?
And Locke is a great character too.
Sure.
But yeah. I agree that it's more fun when there's more balance between them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right here, like what Jean is saying, his function here almost is to say like, hey, I noticed that there's this weird darkness in you, which I think is actually meant to be yet more foreshadowing for this idea that he's got this possibly dark wizard Horcrux inside him. But like it's like you said, it's great, it's dramatic, it's well written. Like I love stuff like this sentence, I'm so goddamn slow and stupid I see it for the first time. Like that's not actually proper grammar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a proper sentence, but that's how people talk. And I think that's one thing that Lynch is really good at in these conversations.
Totally agree. And I think it's one of those things that tracks, because I think when we started it's not when we started Red Seas, but when we in Red Seas, when they flash back to immediately following Kamor, Locke is also in this kind of drunken, depressed, like woe is me attitude, right? That Jean basically has to beat out of him.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of started this book, and once again he's there. And I mean, the dude's got a good reason. He's slowly dying to death, but the frustration is like, look, here's your solution. Like here, once again, as Wonka said in chat, Locke is like the luckiest motherfucker on the planet, and the solution to his problem has just whooshed through the door and said, here, all you have to do is do this caper for me, and I'll save your life.
Yeah.
And it's like I love Jean, like the end of it, like you're absolutely right that the I'm so goddamn slow and stupid is really good, but the way it gets back to, and this is why I cut the quote off here, but the way it gets back to the end is like, I can tell you what the hell I'm scared of: being alone, being the very last one of us standing. And I think that's fantastic because like Jean, like, he doesn't get a lot of characterization in this novel itself, but I love this idea of like, this is all Locke is now all he has. He's lost everyone else, and he's suffering from it just as much as Locke is. And Locke is all he has, and he's terrified of living in this world without him. And so he's going to be there for him. He's going to constantly be there to pick him back up, no matter what. Like the first opening moments of the book where he like beats the shit out of a noble lord or a physiker and like risks everything just to get him back to check on Locke. I mean, that's wonderful. Like, it's a wonderful way to depict how much this person means to him.
That was some of the most fun stuff, actually, was him, cleverly kidnapping the physiker and then being like, do you have something to give him that'll knock him out with no dreams? Yes, this. Okay, drink it.
Yeah.
Like, that's wonderful. That's exactly what I come to these books for.
Sure.
And it was actually quite front loaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I actually do love, I didn't pull the slide, but since we're on the subject of Jean, I love Jean's one real conversation he gets with Sabbatha, right? Like it's really the one time in the book where it really allows their friendship space. Like he lived with her too, and obviously it's not a love story with him and Sabbatha, but they were family in the same way that all of them were family. And he's kind of always like stepped out of his way and understood Locke's love of her and the importance of them. And he's always kind of just like, oh, well, Sabbath is here, but Locke wants to see her, and that's more important than me seeing her. But I love that the book just gives them this quiet moment where they like acknowledge this, like, hey, I missed you too. You're part of my family. Like you were there. Like, and when you left, it hurt me also. Obviously not as much as Locke, but it hurt me too. And this it's been hard on me too. I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah. I think that might have been one of my favorite parts, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's move on, huh?
Okay.
So Locke, of course, ends up because of Jean's expert arguing, Locke ends up accepting the deal, and then we get the first of a few of our like interludes from the interludes where we see the Bonds Magi like talking to each other about the plans behind the plans. In the no time, no space of thought conspiracy could have no witness. The old man's mind reached out across 120 miles of air and water. Child's play for the wearer of 4 rings. His counterpart answered immediately. It's done, then? The Komori have accepted her terms, as I told you they would. We never doubted. It's not as though she wants for persuasiveness. We're moving now. Is Lamora that ill? The Archdama put this off too long. A genuine mistake. And not her first. If Lamora dies, your exemplar would crush Tannen alone. He's formidable, but he already carries a weight of mourning. Could you not assist Lamora to an early exit? I told you I won't go that far, not right under her eyes. My life still means something to me. Of course, brother. It was an unworthy suggestion. Forgive me. Besides, she didn't choose Lamora just to boil your blood. There's something about him you don't understand yet. Why are you dropping hints instead of information? I can't risk letting this loose. Not this. Be assured, this is deeper than the 5-year game, and patience means for you to know it all soon enough. Now that worries me. It shouldn't. Just play the game. If we manage to save Lamora, your exemplar will have a busy 6 weeks. Our reception is already prepared. Good. Look after yourself then. We'll be in Carthage tomorrow, whatever happens. From start to finish, the conversation spanned 3 heartbeats. It's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
I know. I love this. I don't have much more to say beyond what I already said about how much I enjoyed this particular aesthetic
Mm-hmm.
of wizards being mysterious and crafty, and subtle. But
It just
yeah, I love this.
it just fits so much for this world, right? Like
Mhm.
like that's one thing that, and I think maybe that's why I was rather indifferent to the Falconer, is because this is the world that these books inhabit is one of sneakiness and craftiness and cleverness. And while the Falconer had a little bit of that, he was mostly just like, I have powerful magics that defeat you type of
Uh-huh.
stuff. And to see like that, of course the mages in the world of Loch Lamora and the world of Gentlemen Bastards are just as sneaky and crafty as all of our characters are. It just works for me. It really just works for me. Um, just structurally, I know you did the audiobook, so you didn't actually see this, but this is how it looks in the book, like where one character is seen in italics and one character is seen in bold text. And I
Uh-huh.
really think that was a fun decision, because it like, first of all, it lets you see without any quotations and without any like saids, that there are 2 people talking if they're having a conversation. Like, I think it solves a problem that he didn't want to put, quotes over everything because it's not dialogue, but he needed a way to differentiate the speakers from each other. And I think it's a rather smart way of doing that. And I think I think the person who's sending is always the one in bold, so it kind of differentiates them in that way. I think it's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right,
Moving
next.
on.
So here, the gentlemen bastards all discuss their ambitions. You two want for imagination, said Sabbatha. Not at all, said Galdo. The lower the enterprise, the hotter the fire of our invention burns. Are you going a bit stir-crazy, Sabbatha? Said Locke, secretly pleased to hear the energy in her voice after so many days of brooding tedium. Maybe I am. I've been stuck in this wagon counting Sansa farts for a week. Maybe I'm due a little flight of fancy. I mean, wouldn't it be grand to have a legend that grew while you were alive to enjoy it? To sit in a tavern and hear all the people around you speaking of what you've done, with no notion that you were among them as flesh and blood? I can sit in a tavern and be ignored anytime I please, muttered Callow. I want to see the kingdom of the Marrows someday, said Sabbatha. Gain my way from city to city, on the arms of nobles, emptying their pockets as I go, charming them witless. I'd be like a force of nature. They'd come up with some elegant little title for their shared affliction. It was her. It was the rose. Sabbatha rolled this off her tongue, obviously savoring it. The rose of the Marrows, they'll say. The rose of the Marrows has been my ruin, and they'll tear their hair out explaining everything to their wives and bankers while I ride on to the next city. Are we all going to need stupid nicknames then? Said Callow. We could be the shrubs of the north. The weeds of Ventilla, said Galdo. And if you're a rose, said Callow, Locke's going to need something as well. He could be a tulip, said Galdo. Delicate little tulip. Nah, if she's the rose, he can be her thorn. Callow snapped his fingers. The thorn of Camor. Now that's got some shine to it. That'd be the dumbest fucking thing I'd ever heard, said Locke. Delightful.
The Thorn of Camor. That's what he was.
He was the thorn of
He,
Camor. I mean, and what's funny is, I mean, there's this running theme of the book where Sabbatha is a bit resentful that like Locke sort of got everything too easily,
mm-hmm.
and like yet again here, I mean, she has her own kind of enterprise, but he was the Thorn of Camor. He was this fantastically successful thief for a long time. So
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's interesting about this, and I wanted to use this to kind of let you talk about Sabbatha and the things about her you didn't like as much. But I mean, it is interesting to me here that I think one of the things the book does very well in the flashback sections is it defines a life that Sabbatha really really wants, and it doesn't define what Locke wants beyond just Sabbatha, right? Like all he wants is her. He has no grand plan for what he wants his future to be, what he wants to do. I mean, she very much attacks him for this idea of like, you just like, we're gonna do whatever Chain says you're gonna do. I mean, later during the 5-year game, she attacks him for doing just that. After Chains dies, he just like picks up the mantle and just keeps repeating it. Like, he doesn't have goals, he doesn't have a desire. Like, he just is gonna steal shit just because. And here she is with this dream, and he kind of does that. I mean, he doesn't like travel the countryside, but in Kamor, he becomes exactly what she is describing, what she wants to be here. So she's the one with goals. She's the one with desire. She's the one that wants to strike out in the world and do something. And he cares about nothing but her. Yeah. And yet, like, the world has granted him basically like opportunity after opportunity to get to do all these things that she said she wanted to do. And I mean, the part of her character I love is the mix between the resentment she feels for him and the love she feels for him, because she's both insanely jealous and resentful of how easy things are for him sometimes, and she's totally infatuated with him. And she has such a hard time parsing those two things.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that she has this perception that everything is handed to him, because I guess it's funny because like the story of Locke Lamora, the character, is actually booms and busts.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the structure of every book is exactly this. It's Locke through cleverness and guile and probably a lot of luck stumbles his way into a new caper where they're going to rob the so-and-so, but they got to deal with this complication and then this other complication, and then they have a sidetrack here, but in the end they successfully rob the so-and-so and get their revenge on somebody at some point probably, but then they lose all their money and they end up in another city because you know their luck never really runs through the whole book, right? They can never really catch a full break. And that's been his life even before the book started, because even when he was a little street urchin, like, I mean, it's not like his life has been easy. And so it is kind of interesting to me that she has this perception, like everything just falls into your lap, Locke. It's like, Sarath, did you read these books? This guy, like, yeah, he does luck into things, but then he like immediately lucks out of them.
Sure. But he has I think she's better than him. Like, I think she's more clever than he is.
More skilled.
Yeah, totally. But I think he has a natural talent, or I guess we can call it a supernatural talent now. Maybe. Who the fuck knows? Like, I love the scene where she points out that he just commands these people in their crew better than she does. Or rather, that they listen to him more than they would ever listen to her. They see him as the leader. And like the moment that really sells that, and I should have pulled the slide, is when they're both trying to become priests and Chains picks him, not her. She's better, she's older, but he is the one being groomed for that position, and so he is picked and she isn't, and that's the resentment. I mean, I don't think I think she probably is well enough aware. Like, I think we see through the course of the interludes that like she's fully aware of what these capers actually look like and how fucking wrong they go. But I do think there's something interesting to Locke, that he takes these dice rolls and he throws up snake eyes as often as he rolls sixes, but there's always someone there to catch him when he rolls snake eyes like that. I mean, that's why I love the scene with the challenge between the two of them so much, is because he basically like goes nuts with this idea of like, he's caught, they got the 3 Sabbathas like on a pincer movement against him. He's fucked. He fakes puking and then convinces the guard to like cart him away. And that could have gone so fucking wrong. Like, it could have been a fucking disaster. And yet everyone around him, like the second it happens, is there to save him. And I mean, it seems like it would have worked out, but that's a microcosm for what happens. Like, anytime Locke gets in a scrape that he can't get out of, Jean is always there. The Sansa twins were there. Someone else is there to kind of pull him out of the fire. And I don't think Sabbatha feels like she has that. Like that she doesn't get that. At least not in the way that he does.
That's true. I think that's a good point. And I mean, there's certainly a read where it's sort of like Locke's poor leadership is what led to most of their crew getting massacred. Like he did like they did take risks in that book that they didn't need to take, and it resulted in the Sansas and Bug getting killed. So
Yeah. Man, it's great.
yeah. All right.
I'm already liking this book more. It's happening. It's happening.
Good. Good.
Um,
Good.
so in this next section, so they're back in, I forget the name of the town they're in. It starts with an E, but I do not remember it. But they're basically gonna perform Republic of Thieves with this acting crew, and Locke is talking to Sylvanus Espara. Thank you, Jess. About the role that he's gotten, and I just love this scene. And I want to talk to you about it for a little bit. Emperor, eh? Said Locke, sitting down against the wall next to Sylvanus. Why so glum? Sounds like a good part. It is, said Sylvanus, for the few lines he has. It's not the father's play, but the son's. The old man took a swig from his bottle and made no effort to pass it around. I envy you little shits. I do. Though no one could accuse you of any deep knowledge of the craft. What's to envy? Said Orlando. We're out there melting in the heat while you get to sit in the shade. Said Sylvanus, spoken like a true lad of 29 years. At my age, you don't get to sit in the shade, boy. That's where you're sent to keep out of everyone else's way. You're being morose, said Orlando. It's the grape speaking, as usual. This is the first bottle I've touched since my head hit the ground last night, said Sylvanus, and for me, that's as sober as a babe freshly unwombed. No, gentlemen, I know a thing which you do not. Read any script in our common property, and you'll find too many roles to which you're suited. Soldiers, princes, lovers, fools. You could never play them all if you lived to twice my age, which is a frightful number. At 20, you may be anything. At 30, you may do as you please. At 40, only a few doors ease shut. But 50, here's a sting that McCrane feels for sure. By 50, you're becoming a perfect stranger to all those parts that once suited you like the skin of your own cock. Locke had no idea what to say, so he simply watched as Sylvanus finished his bottle and tossed it into the leather-hard mud of the yard. I used to skim these plays for all the fine young roles my ambition could bear, he said. Now I look at the broken parts, the sick men, the forgotten men, and I wonder which of them will be mine. Did you not hear why I'm emperor? Because the emperor need not trouble his fat old ass to move. I am as much entombed as enthroned. I love Sylvanus. Like I pulled this slide because I didn't know where else to talk about the troupe of actors as a whole, and I think this is a really great. Like you see Orlando here, you see Sylvanus, you see little bits of Moncrane. I think these characters are wonderful, and I really liked them, and I like the ways in which you could almost imagine the Gentlemen Bastards in 30 years being like, obviously they're a troupe of thieves, not a troupe of actors, but like as the opportunity, like the things they can accomplish, the parts they can play, the gambits they can go for decrease as you get older, and like you kind of see them being forced to reckon with their future a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically the only part of the whole series where we do see all of the Gentleman Bastards working together on a
Mm-hmm.
on a mission.
Sure.
You know, especially when they're trying to hide the body later on, which we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I see what you mean. This is also the part of the book that I was the most, I think, emotionally invested in.
Yeah.
Because like just the stakes are actually pretty clear and worrying. Like and part of it is like that Sabbath is going to leave.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking, oh, this is building toward whatever terrible thing happens that causes Sabbath to leave.
Exactly. That was my exact thought. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like one thing that kind of made me nervous the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that I have loved about this series is that the stakes are always kind of ground level and personal. Like, how are Locke and John going to get out of this time has always been the stakes to me. And
Yeah.
and that's honestly, like, we haven't gotten to the epilogue yet. But one thing I am worried about going forward into these books is it seems like we're shifting to this dire, like, threat of the world type stakes, and I don't know if that's what I come to these stories for, and I'm worried about what that's going to look like in the fourth book and further. Like, I care about, like, I want to see Locke Lamora get into scrapes and have to skill his way out of them. And I think there's a way, like, I'm not dooming the fourth book before I've even read it. I think there's a way where you can make the stakes personal and do what's what works best and true in these stories while telling a more a larger like global type story. There's absolutely a way you can do that and make it work. But I'm not. I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me nervous, because yeah, I mean, this is the best part of the book to me. These kids just trying to successfully put on a play because Chains told them to get the fuck out of the city because they weren't being appreciative and they weren't recognizing the gifts he's given them.
Yeah.
It's the best part by far.
Yeah. Pretty much everybody in the chat is agreeing that Sylvanas is great. This part of the book is tense.
Mm-hmm.
The whole acting troupe is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everybody's in agreement. More of this, please.
Yes. I would take a whole flashback book. That's just let's just do a spin-off book about this troupe.
I think we probably will get more flashbacks in the next book, right?
Yeah, I think
that's a safe assumption.
Lynch likes to do that for sure.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Yeah.
All right, shall we move on?
Let's move on. We're how long have we been doing this?
a while.
We're halfway.
Yep. We're not doing good, Scott. Okay, so Sabitha tries to get rid of Locke by locking him and Jean on a ship and sending them away, but it doesn't work. And then Locke comes back and he's mad. No! Locke trembled with hunger, adrenaline, and emotion. I will not be shrugged off. I will not have my feelings pushed aside for the convenience of whatever pose you think you're adopting here. Your feelings? We're in Carthage working for the Bonds Magi, damn it. We're not children fumbling around in the back of a wagon. You used me. And that's what we do, she said. Both of us, professionally. I tricked you, and I meant to trick you, and I'm sorry that hurts, but this is our trade. Not this. You didn't just trick me. You used the deepest feelings I've ever had for you, and you know it. You exploited a weakness that only exists when I'm around you. Woman convinces man to impale himself on his own hard-on. That's a very old story. The world didn't stop just because it happened again. I'm not an infant, Sabitha. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about trust. I put you on that ship for your own goddamn good, Locke. I knew this would happen. I didn't just need you out of the way, and I wasn't just minding your health. I knew you'd beat your brains out against your stupid obsession. Oh, marvelous. Lovely fucking plan, because I certainly didn't think about you once during the 9 days it took to get back to Carthage. She got the good grace to look away. What the hell is this anyway? First, you don't need to justify yourself at all, and now it was for my own good? Locke, feeling hot, angrily unbuttoned the stained, oversized riding jacket he'd taken from the stolen carriage. And you are not a stupid obsession. I am a grown woman who's telling you we cannot wind the clock back 5 years just because you can't work up the courage to make a pass at someone else. Courage? Who the hell do you think you are, telling me about courage? Courage is what it takes to come after you. Courage is what it takes to put up with your self-righteous goddamn martyr act. You cocksure, self-entitled, swaggering little ass. Tell me you never liked me, said Locke, advancing step by step. Tell me you never found me worthwhile. Tell me we didn't have good years together. That's all it would take.
Did I mention I love when characters argue with each other?
It is great. I mean, this like Lynch has his things where he's like among the best at these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of those is, I think, character conflict, and really, selling you on this. Like in my mind, these are real people,
Yeah.
And I can't say that about all books.
Yeah, it's like the movie that came out last year, Marriage Story, where it's just like two married people yelling at each other and just being super mean to each other. That's this is it, and it's perfect. I really love it. Like, tell me you never liked me. Tell me you never found me worthwhile. Tell me we didn't have good years together. That's all it would take. And then, of course, as the scene goes on, she can't do that. She can't tell him that because it's not true. It's not true. And like, one of the things I love about this is I think this is really the first out and out conversation they've had. Like, they have a brief conversation before she tells him to kiss her and drugs him. But this is like the first like out and out conversation they've had. And I think Sabitha is still playing at a game that Locke has moved beyond here, because like she's very used to him being like awkward and afraid of kind of saying what he's thinking around her. and I think he's just like not having it here. I love I'm
Yeah.
not an infant, Sabbatha. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about trust. He's like he actually, I think, wins this quote unquote argument, right? I think he like gets her to admit stuff that she's not ready to admit.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, go
Well,
ahead.
yeah. I mean, young Locke was a kid. He didn't understand humans. He didn't understand her. Adult Locke is like this master manipulator.
Yeah.
He understands people, and he, he's able to see kind of her our weak points. She's able to see his too. But
Hmm.
at least it's fair now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like everything she says here, he has a perfect comeback to. I love she had the good grace to glance away. I thought that
Yeah.
was perfect. Like most of this is like most of this is just dialogue, but Lynch does drop in little bits and pieces here that I think really enhance the dialogue like that, and I think that's really wonderful. Um, Tell me you never like me, said Locke, advancing step by step, like he's like kind of blocking the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I like
love
it.
this. I love this. And of course,
Me too.
this is the moment where they kind of uh, let go of pretenses and they go out to dinner after this. Ooh,
Yeah.
dinner.
Yeah.
I just want to
Romantic.
say that the Cage dinner restaurant is like the coolest slash most ridiculous idea ever. Like I could see
Yeah.
that existing in some crazy like rich restaurant that's like, ooh, go in a cage and we'll hoist you to the top of this tower. And
Yeah, isn't that great? It also reminds me of like the Casino Tower from the
mm-hmm.
previous book, where it's Lynch is really good at these like fun settings where like you just know that Lynch is sort of in the back of his head thinking like when they pick this up for a movie, this is going to look really good.
Sure. Yeah, I like that. All right. So now we kind of have flashed forward a little bit to a conversation that present day Locke and Sabbatha are having. I pulled a lot of these sides because this is a lot of the book, right? Is the conversations they have and the argument and conflict they have. This one is about them kind of reminiscing on their past. Have you ever thought about how badly chains fucked us all up? Gods above! Locke narrowly avoided choking on his beer. How tipsy are you? Not at all. Sabbatha held her own glass rock steady for several moments to support the assertion. I understand your frustration with the way some things played out, said Locke. You know I listened to you. I do. And you know I think you had some points, but Chains was a generous man, a generous and caring man, whatever his faults. That's not what I'm talking about. He wanted a family, very desperately. You've realized that. Of course. I never thought of it as a defect. I often think he wanted a family more than he wanted a gang. Again, a conscience is a dead weight on our profession. She stared into the amber depths of her half-full glass. Make no mistake. He shackled each of us with one. Even Callow and Galdo, rest their souls. For all they did most of their thinking with their cocks and the rest with their balls, even they wound up with the essentially kindly dispositions. Chains got us all in the end, good and hard. Their second dinner, the night following the alchemical disaster at the Sign of the Black Irish, was held aboard the Merry Drifter, a flat-topped dining barge complete with gardens and lacquered privacy screens. The barge had floated gently through the heart of Carthage, beneath the strange music of the elder-glass bridges, before finally laying anchor in the Amethil just off the Ponta Cobressa. As the sky had darkened and the alchemical globes flicked to life, the boats had ferried other diners to and from shore, but Locke and Sabbatha had held their choice table at the barge's stern, all the while. So, I mean, I wanted to get in the second cool dining place they go to here because I think you're absolutely right that these places like are just cinematic and like I think like things like this exist in the real world, like absurdly gaudy restaurants for rich clientele, like absolutely exist and it's wonderful. Um, but I love this scene too. As Andrew was saying in chat, this is really some really great characterization.
Yeah.
That she looks at what Chains did. She is business. She is like, what do I have to do to make me the best thief? And he is just Locke, baby. He's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, that was whatever. And I think that's part of what frustrates her about him so much is that like she has tried to hone. She's like, it's kind of like the naturally talented person versus the person that practices the most, right? The person that's on the field practicing every day, day in, day out, rain or shine, versus the person that's just like, hey, I'm a good quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. This
Sports.
is fun.
Yeah. And so like she wants every advantage she has. She wants to be the best, and that's what she cares about. And I think part of that is deflection a little bit, right? It's she's chasing away from her family, or she's running away from her family. She's running away from the things that she has convinced herself are weaknesses, even if they aren't.
Yeah. And conversely, it seems it's never ever even occurred to Locke that Chains was flawed in any way. Which, I mean, she has a point, right? Like she has a point in the sense that like it's a kind of a weird thing to do to a bunch of kids.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
like decide you're going to train them to be master thieves, and like that. I mean, geez, that's kind of odd, but and also it didn't really seem to have served them very well because the twins died pretty young.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I agree though. Like this is the kind of thing where it's telling us a lot about who she is on the inside without actually having letting us peek in there at this moment.
Yeah, yeah. It's really great. I mean, again, this is what's happening, Matt. I like this book now. Look, it happened. You all
Yeah,
witnessed it.
good. I mean, I do like this book. I just the ending is so meh.
Yeah, maybe I
And
should
that's
wait. Maybe I should wait till we get there.
again. I don't think that like I don't think that ruins the book. It's just
Sure,
I
sure, sure.
I don't care for the ending, but I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed the book. I don't think there's anything contradictory there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
In the past, Sabitha and Locke consummate their teenage romance only to be interrupted by the need to cover up a murder. Don't ask questions. If you trust me and want to live, get your bloody clothes on. We need you both this instant. Locke's relief at not seeing Bullydazzy outside the little chamber was instantly squelched by the cold, dead gravity of Kala's voice. A serious Sansa was one hell of an ill omen. Locke found his clothes with the most extreme haste, and still Sabitha beat him out into the hall. No one was in the hall as they emerged, though the noise... Sorry, Sirius talking to me. No one was in the hall as they emerged, though the noise of revelry continued unabated from the direction of the common room. Callow, visibly on edge, led them the short distance to Janora's chamber. Locke's sense of dread grew as Callow knocked softly in a 3-2-1 pattern. It was Galdo who answered, ushered them in, and slammed the door shut behind him. The scene within the room made Locke's knees feel as though they'd dissolved, and he found himself grabbing Sabitha to stay upright. Janora was huddled in a corner beside an overturned cot, wide-eyed and shuddering, her tunic torn open at the neck. Jean crouched next to her, hands on her shoulders. Gennaro Bullydazzy lay crumpled against the opposite wall, his imposing frame strangely deflated, his face pale. A pair of seamstress's shears, their plain handles roughened and stained by Genora's long hours of work, was deeply embedded in the spreading red stain on the Baron's right breast. As Locke stared in horror, Bullydazzy moaned softly, shuffled his legs, and coughed more blood onto his tunic. Dull and helpless as the Baron seemed, mortal as his wound had to be, for the moment he was still very much alive.
Oh, shit!
Yeah.
What are they gonna do now?
This is it, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're here for.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a horrible situation. How are they gonna get out of this? What a pickle.
Yeah.
And then they just go to the most ridiculous ends to deal with this too.
And it fucking works. Like
Yeah.
that it is. This is why I come to these books, right? From this moment on, I mean, I love the whole interlude, right? I love it all. But from this moment on, the interlude goes into another gear. And the way they dress up someone else to look like him and appear on stage in the Death Shroud, the way they've got him like perfumed up and sitting below at the bottom of the prop cart for days. Even the part where they put him in the baths and like they fake out the money changer, and then like even Moncrane screws them over at the end, and they have to come up with another thing. And I think what I love most about this is Lynch lets it work. Like, so he complicates this constantly. Like every time they come up with a plan, something new goes wrong, and they have to fix that, and they just have to be on their toes. And this is what these books do so well. But then at the end of this, everything just works. Everything like they get away with it. They just get away with it, and that sometimes you need a little bit of that. You need to throw your reader a little bit of a bone and just be like, let's just have the plan work. I mean,
Yeah,
kind of it. I mean, like, yes, the troop loses everything and that's tragic and awful, but like they're not dead. They don't go to
right.
jail or
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah, and I think this kind of almost had to be a win because
Yeah.
once again Locke and Jean lose again in the modern day plot line. So in order for it not to be a total downer of an ending, I think letting them win, survive, come out ahead here was a good
Yeah.
you know, good. It makes you feel good. I don't want to say like good storytelling because you can
Yeah.
tell you can have a good story that's horribly sad and depressing, obviously.
And,
But I'm glad it went this way.
yeah, and to me it's a treatise on the way in which you can um challenge, like bring conflict and challenge your characters while still making them look like crazy skilled and smart. Like sometimes you want conflict to happen because character makes a stupid decision. But sometimes you want conflict to happen because everything just keeps going wrong, and the things that go wrong compound on each other again and again and again and again. And the fun is seeing your characters work themselves out of those situations. And those have always been my favorite part. As Andrew was saying right now, the stressful juggling act that made the first two books work. This is the part of this that we really get to see this. I don't think we really get to see it in the 5-year game. I really don't, but it's here, and I'm so glad it's here because I could not wait for every one of the interlude chapters. So much fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is the kind of thing where it's honestly almost too stressful. But I still love it. I still love it.
Yeah, I mean the problem is when you like finish this chapter right here, and then you turn the page and like I read this on my Kindle, so I had it like number of minutes till next chapter, and so I turn it's like 1 hour 7 minutes till next interlude. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that's
can I
funny.
just can I just skip to it and see how they get
Yeah,
out of this? No,
right.
I can't do that. But yeah, no, I loved the conclusion of this. I will say, well, let's. I think we have some more slides on it, so
Okay.
let's. All right, so Patience here is tired of these two getting along, and so she finally reveals her endgame. What are you doing to him? Said Sabitha. Locke clung to her, shaking. His chest felt as though it was being squeezed in iron bands. Ending the mysteries, said Patience, softening her tone. Providing the answers. This man was once Lemore Acanthus of Carthage, once Archdon Providence of my order, once a mage even more powerful than myself. She held up her left arm and let the robe sleeve fall away to reveal her 5 tattooed rings. I am not a god's damn mage, said Locke hoarsely. Not anymore, said Patience. You're making this shit up, said Locke, enunciating each word, willing them into some sort of emotional talisman. So you know a name. I admit that I'm astonished, but I don't know how old I am exactly, but it can't yet be 30. 30! This man you're talking about would be older than you. Originally, said Patience, and in a manner of speaking, you still are. What the hell does that mean? 23 years ago, an orphan with no past appeared in the aftermath of a deadbeat plague. Didn't I just tell you what happens when our most forbidden art is practiced? A dreadful backlash against life itself. Sickness. The black whisper that came out of nowhere. Lemore Acanthus was in Camor, hidden away in the hovels of Catchfire. That's where you continued your studies, using the poor and the forgotten as your subjects. Oh, bullshit. We know, said Patience. There was a sorceress event in Camor before the plague erupted. Several members of my order were near enough to feel it. When the quarantine was lifted, our people were there in force. We sifted Catchfire house by house until we found our answer. Magical apparatus, the paper and diaries of Lemore Acanthus, along with his body, plainly identifiable by the tattooed rings. And so we thought the matter was ended. Horribly, but ultimately for the better. Years passed. Then came the unexpected business involving my son. It brought you to our attention. You and Jean were carefully examined. Particularly Jean, since our possession of his red name made things so much easier. Imagine the intensity of our surprise when he told us that his closest friend, a Komori orphan, had confessed to the secret name of Lemore Acanthus. You told Jean your true name? Said Sabitha. Locke desperately insisted to himself that he was only imagining the hurt beneath her surprise. So, okay, lots to talk about here, Matt. We kind of already preface this a little bit. The thing I kind of love about this is the ambiguity of it, because we realize that the only reason that they've decided that he must be Lamora Canthus is because he had that name, right?
Right.
He knew that name. And he told Jean that name, and when Jean was being tortured, Jean told them that name. Or not tortured, just made under control because they knew his full name.
Right.
And so that doesn't necessarily mean that he is him, right? Like there's room in that. There's room for some lies of Locke Lamora in there.
Yeah. For a twisty turny series of books like this that hinges on deception and subterfuge, I think I would be surprised if like the resolution of the series is just like, yeah, he was this mage guy.
Right.
But then of course it's like, okay, then how else do you explain this, right? How do you explain that he believes this to be his name, because he does,
Mm-hmm.
and like he wasn't lying to Jean. So yeah, it's interesting. I guess I'm just sort of like mildly holding out hope that there's more wrinkles in this story, and I guess wondering where it's gonna go, because clearly it's gonna go somewhere. Like it's not just like that's the end. We figured it out. I like I love this moment where Sabbatha is like hurt that he told Jean his real name.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Locke has just learned this thing about him, this huge disturbing thing, and what is Sabbatha's reaction was, "You told Jean your name and not me."
Yeah, it's like Jean was my friend and saved my life 1,000 times,
Yeah.
and you ran away, Sabbatha. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, to your previous point, I think I would feel very unfulfilled if the resolution of the series was literally just everything Patience said here was 100% on the up and up. This is exactly how it happened. This is exactly who Locke is, and that's it. I'm not saying it's not possible to make that interesting. I just would be very surprised if that was the way things play out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Daniel is kind of agreeing with the sentiment you just had there, Matt, which is that after all they went through, it irks me that Sabbatha is still hurt that he shared something with Jean, but not her. It's like, yeah, sorry, they have a closer relationship than you two do. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like they've been best friends since they were like 5.
Yeah.
It's not it's not surprising. Come on, Sabbatha.
Yeah, Sabbatha.
All right. Shall I? So next slide. In the midst of dealing with the murder cover-up, back in the flashbacks, the lovers perform the play.
We had to do a scene from the play.
Yeah.
Like we had to, and I expect you to do all the roles just like Moncrane taught you, Matt.
Just like in your imagination. Okay. The kingdom of shadows is swept away, said Jasmer. His Majesty, tendering your safety, bid me watch from afar and then retrieve you. I see your duty is nearly done, though it cost you a friend. It has cost me far more than that, said Locke. I shall not go with you, Calamaxes, not now or ever. Your life is not your own, my prince, but something held in trust for the million souls you must rule. You are as heir, secure their peace. You, slain or lost to dalliance, condemns them to mutiny and civil war. You who claim the throne are claimed by it as tightly. Amadine, said Locke. She must die, Aurin, and you must rule. You will find the strength to raise your sword, or I will slay her with a spell. Either way, my tale shall flatter you to your father's court, and none live to contradict me. Locke picked up his sword, stared at Sabbatha, and cast it back down to the stage. You cannot ask me to do this. I do not ask, but instruct, said Jasmer with a bow. And if you cannot, then the spell. Hold, sorcerer. Sabbatha brushed past Jasmer and took Locke's hands. I see the powers that sent you before me conspired as much against your will as my realm. Take heart, my love, for you are my love, and never shall I know another. Let it be a final and fatal honesty between us now. My kingdom is gone, and yours remains to be inherited. Show it much kindness. I shall rule without joy, said Locke. All my joy lives in you, and that but shortly. After comes only duty. I shall teach you something of duty, love. Here is duty to myself. Sabbatha pulled a dagger from her sleeve and held it high. I am Aberdeen, queen of shadows, and my fate is my own. I am no man's to damn or deliver. She plunged the dagger between her left arm and breast and fell forward gently, giving Locke ample time to catch her and lower her across his knees. Sobbing was easy. Even the sight of Sabbatha pretending to stab herself was enough to put rivers behind his eyes, and he wondered if this touch would be admired as acting. He held her tight, rocking and crying under Jasmer's stern, still countenance.
Hey, I wonder if there's like a metaphor from the characters that they're playing and their relationship and stuff.
No, it's unrelated. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought the play was great because first of all, it's like it's pretty fun, like mishmash of different like Shakespearean play
Yeah,
concepts,
yeah.
which I actually really liked and thought was done really cleverly.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, of course, there's the connection between their. It's almost like a triangle between like past relationship, present relationship, and play relationship,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
there's interesting interplay between the three.
Yeah, and as Jess is pointing out in the chat, I mean this is basically exactly what happens at the end, where the sorcerer patience comes between the two,
Yeah.
And Sabbatha as Amadine takes the choice upon herself, and chooses to leave,
Uh-huh.
literally, and by stabbing herself by running away.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the past, she also ran away at some point.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what she does, and I think
Yeah.
Wonk makes a good point. The things that make Sabbatha rebel against the family dynamic of the Gentleman Bastards is what makes her not get why Locke would share with Jean stuff he would keep from her. I think that's a very good point. I guess my problem would be I don't know how well the book does the effort to establish that. I mean, like I agree with you. I just don't know if like the book like characterized her in that way enough for me to be like, yeah, like totally, that's all in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I guess like so when you said, at the beginning of the show you weren't a huge fan of Sabbatha as a character, the way that I mean that when I say that is that I don't feel that I understand her.
Mm-hmm.
She's not clearly drawn in my mind. Not. I feel like I probably understand Patience better than I understand Sabbatha,
Mm-hmm.
and part of it is like, oh, a lot of the book we're in young Locke's head, and Sabbatha is like a Rubik's cube that he can't solve, and it's frustrating. But
Sure.
but but you're also like, okay, but like I don't I think it may actually just be kind of overly complex and contradictory in a way that is just like I don't know if real people would behave this way,
Mm.
like I think we notice on an instinctive level when a character in a book is just behaving in a way where you're like, yeah, like, I mean, I see what you're doing writing wise, but I still don't think a person would behave this way.
Mm.
And I ended up feeling that way about Sabbatha a lot.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean that's you said it better than I would have been able to, but that's basically how I feel about her. Is just that like, oh, calm down, phone. Why are both of our phones going off during this book club?
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe, I mean, I don't think the series is done with her, so maybe we'll get by the end of however many books the series is going to be, you and I will be able to look at it and say, I get her. I understand. I think Andrew, that's a really good way of describing it. She makes thieving a business, and for Locke, it's a passion and a family thing. I guess my response to that would be, why? Like why can't, like, why does she make it a business? Why can't she understand the family side of things? Why does she reject all that stuff? I don't really have a good grasp on the why of that.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with it.
Locke is Dom Toretto confirmed by Jess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Toby has a good point. They say, uh, Patience, by contrast, Patience makes herself emotionally visible. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can read her because she doesn't try to hide certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Sabbatha tries to make herself hard to read, which makes it hard for us to read her because we're always in Locke's head or Jean's head. Um, and but the thing is, yeah, I mean that's true. that it just doesn't. It certainly doesn't help me understand her. And it's like I feel like a story like this, I need to understand the characters. I
Mm.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
supposed to not understand her.
Yeah, I mean that I will allow that possibility to exist, that it was 100% intentional, that Scott Lynch wanted you to leave this book going, I don't get this girl. I don't get her. And that, if so, great, mission accomplished, right?
Right. Right.
Because that's where I'm at too. Yeah, I'd have to really dive into an analysis to determine whether like that's really what he wants you to think. I think our credo says that yes, that if I feel this way, the author wanted me to feel that way, and therefore intentional and good job, and you're the best, Scott Lynch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. All right. So in the end, the 5-year game resolves in a tie. Fun joke. Matt wrote a typo here, and I almost read it out loud without seeing it. The 5-year game resolves in a die.
In a die.
In a die. It kind of does, though. I mean, literally, like a bunch of mages die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe it, said Sabitha. How the hell? I've got no more succinct way to put it. How the hell? You warned Lavaris we were coming to try and convince him to change the color of his lapel ribbon, said Locke, and you know he didn't buy that offer for an instant. He chewed on my self-respect for a while, then wiped me away like a turd. But we'd already prepared a second line of attack, said Jean, pouring himself a fresh finger of brandy. Ego fodder, something designed to appeal to his sense that he ought to be the hinge around which the rest of the world turned. Catnip for an asshole, continued Locke. Jean offered the second approach, on the theory that Lavaris might be more willing to parley seriously with an envoy he hadn't just pissed all over. Turned out to be a good guess. And now Lavaris is the most important man in Carthage, whispered Sabitha. Now any deadlock in the council is going to have to be resolved by his vote. A possibility he found quite stimulating. The other consulars might detest his guts, said Locke, but they will be at his door, hats in hand, for the next 5 years, or until he's assassinated. Hardly our problem, either way. And that's all it took? A friendly suggestion? Well, obviously he agreed to go through with it only if the numbers added up, said Locke. If you had a wider margin of victory, he would have stayed silent, and there was one hell of a bribe to sweeten the deal. He settled for 25,000 ducats, said Jean. How does he expect to hide it? Said Sabitha. The Black Iris are going to rake him over the coals. His counting house will be watched. His business dealings will be dissected. Any fresh property that turns up will be beaten like a dusty carpet for clues. Hiding it's not the issue, said Locke, since you already safely delivered it to him for us. Sabitha stared at him for a moment, then whispered, The reliquary boxes. So it's definitely not the big reveal of the story, but this is the big conclusion of the game, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, I found myself disappointed by this.
Yeah. It just wasn't much, right? Like this is almost like this is the big finale of the Ocean's 11 plot, and it was just like, oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, let me summarize their brilliant plan in a very uncharitable and curt way. Will you take a bribe? No. Jean, go ask him again if he'll take a bribe. Okay. Will you take a bribe? Yes.
Basically,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think ultimately the stakes are nothing, as we've talked about. The level of cleverness and intricacy on display is not even something that I think Lynch is trying to focus on in this book. And so like you feel like it should matter because it's like, oh, this is the plot, right? The plot of the book is who's going to win the 5-year game, and like that's actually probably the problem, is that it's not. This is not the plot. This is a distraction for everyone, including us. Yeah, no, I was also a bit disappointed.
Yeah, and I think the problem is almost, as Andrew's kind of hinting in chat, the problem to me is not the thing, but it's how people are reacting to the thing. I think Sabitha's like genuine shock at the brilliance of it all is it just falls a little flat to me. It's like you bribed someone.
Yeah.
Like you just bribed. How did you do that? We we bribed him. Wait, like
Yeah.
we what do you mean? It's
Yeah.
politics. Like this is like, yeah. I mean, I think it's like almost over the top a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I think the reliquary box as part of it was the most clever part, right? And even that, like, I don't know, it just like, again, to go into the whole it's a red herring thing, like that just is kind of glossed over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
It's so minor, right? It doesn't feel satisfying. I am fascinated. Like I feel like I'm repeating myself in this conversation, and it's interesting because like I'm saying stuff like, yeah, this just wasn't satisfying, and I know I'm becoming aware that I don't have a solid reason for why certain things are satisfying and certain things aren't,
Hmm.
which makes me think that I need to think more about this and maybe go rewatch Ocean's 11, for example, and like think about why is it satisfying the way that movie ends, because it's not actually um it is set up, but also there are things that happen at the end that you haven't really been shown explicitly.
Hmm.
And so like the fact that it still feels satisfying and why and how that works, I think would be good to pay attention to. Whereas here, this not being satisfying is also just as interesting to pay attention to, because I'm like, well, I don't know why it's not satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think a lot of this has to do with expectations. Um, and that it's funny. Just as I say that, I see Andrew's message saying the same thing. So perfect. Yeah, I mean, like, I felt like I came into this book with. I mean, I adored those first two books. I loved them, and so I came into this book with, and as the early parts of the book moved on, and I kind of saw him start to move the pieces into place, like it's like built up as this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger thing, and then it's just not that, and like that is disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to Jess's point, no one cares about the game. Nobody does. The Magi don't care about the game. Sabbatha doesn't care about the game. Locke doesn't care about the game. John doesn't care about the game. The only people that care about the game are the characters that are mostly like treated as uh jokes, which are like the members of the actual parties. Like, I mean, the whole thing is a joke. Like this, it's an illusion of power. It's an illusion of importance. The they're all hypnotized by
Yeah.
mages. Like, none of these people actually controls anything.
Yeah.
It's fake. They're all run by the deep magi state. And that's what, like, so there's just nothing here.
I almost wonder if there wasn't some prior draft of the story or like outline or notion where it was like the Magi were like, all right, Locke versus Sabbatha, whichever of you loses will die.
Yeah, yeah,
And then the great brilliant trick that would have been satisfying is neither of us lose because it's a tie, motherfucker.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and like that would be like that would have made the tie actually feel like it landed in a way where you were like, oh, like, yes, we win,
Hmm.
we the reader win. And as it is, it's like nothing, it's nothing, who cares? And the thing is that the reason I say that is like, actually, if that had been a major plot element, then it would have like really messed everything up, because like then they would have just tried to collude, right? Like, there's
Sure.
no way they would have actually. There's no way they would have gone out all out against each other if the other of them would have died.
Well,
Eh, So,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, Matt, I like four dimension chessed my way through this book. You saw it when I sent you a message like 5 days ago, where I think I've cracked it. Like, I was convinced that Locke and Sabbatha were communicating through some secret code in and colluding in secret, and there was some grand plan going on here underneath it all, because I was totally
man,
convinced. I think
I wish.
I messaged you like, Lynch does this thing in this book, and this is the most embarrassing thing to admit ever, but Lynch does this thing in this book where he has characters like hold up their fingers like this several times, and then like specify specifically he held up his thumb and his forefinger and noted the amount of space between it. And he does it like 6 times in this book, to the point where I was like, it's really kind of weird to describe that explicitly. I wonder if that's like a code. Wonder if there's some like code going on here where they're passing messages via the length of the space between their fingers, because the book keeps like focusing on it so much. And so I wrapped this up in my head and overcomplicated the story, and kind of got lost in that there's actually this Jean Sabbatha Locke like secret plan that obviously was not here. And so yeah, I mean, I think when you talk about disappointment, I think a lot of disappointment comes from unrealistic expectations. And so maybe that's, at the end of the day, that's my fault for doing that. But I also think the books have kind of primed me for that kind of like tricksy storytelling.
Sure. Yeah, the books have done the unpardonable sin of being so good that when you found them lacking, you were like, oh, there must be something else going on here.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Let's move on.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead.
So here, Patience, having driven a wedge between Locke and Sabbatha, leaves him with uncertainty and confusion. Why tell us any of this, says Jean. Because I value your discomfort, Patience smiled without warmth. I describe the conditions of your employment very succinctly. We are not vanishing from the world, merely from the eyes of ordinary people. Share our business with anyone, and you are always in our reach. Ordinary people, said Locke. Well, how ordinary am I, really? What's the truth of all the tales you spun about my past? You should look at the painting I brought for Sabbatha. Patience tapped and rapped the object leaning against the wall behind her. I'm leaving it here, though in a day or two it will be nothing but white ash. It is the only portrait of Lamora Canthus ever painted during his life. I ought to tell you, the likeness is impeccable. A simple answer, shouted Locke. What am I? You're a man who doesn't get to know the answer, said Patience, and now her smile was genuine. She was shaking with the obvious difficulty of containing her laughter. Look at you, Kamori, you confidence trickster. You think you know what revenge is? Well, here's mine on you. Before I was Arkadama Patience, I was called seamstress. Not because I enjoy needlework, but because I tailor to fit. Locke could only stare at her, feeling cold and hollow in the depths of his guts. Live a good long life without your answer, she said. I think you'll find the evidence neatly balanced in either direction. Now, one more thing I will tell you, and this only because I know it will haunt and disquiet you. My son preferred to mock my premonitions, but only because he didn't want to face the fact that they always have substance. I shall give you a little prophecy, Locke Lamora, as best as I have seen it. 3 things must you take up, and 3 things must you lose before you die. A key, a crown, a child. Patience pushed her hood up over her head. You will die when the silver rain falls. You're making all this shit up, said Locke. I could be, said Patience. I very well could be. And that's part of your punishment. Go forth now and live, Locke Lamora. Live uncertain.
I like so much of this, and I dislike so much of it. I love go forth now and live, Locke Lamora. Live uncertain. I love that. The venom in that is so perfect. But the prophecy stuff, I just don't give a shit about it. I just don't care.
Yeah, I generally don't. I mean, in this case, I guess it sort of works because
it could be just it could be bullshit.
It could be bullshit. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I do kind of like you pointed out several times in this conversation, the dialogue, you know, just the organic. This is just a pleasure to read out loud. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just extremely, you know, well done on every level.
Her satisfaction really leaps off the page. How much she's enjoying this, how much she's enjoying torturing him. It's so wonderful. And I think it's even more fitting knowing how she ends, like for all this confidence and bravado at defeating him a few pages from now. She's going to get like eaten by 100 birds.
Yeah.
In the most cruel, torturous way possible.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this book, man, is like on the micro level, I love every little bit of it. Like, I love the writing. The writing is so good. Like, Lynch can turn a phrase like few authors I've read. But yeah, I just, some of the stuff I just like can just roll my eye. I roll my eyes at the fact that we've now introduced a prophecy system in this thing. So like, even even if it's not true, I feel like the next book is going to be like, it's a key.
Yeah.
It's a key. Uh-oh, crown. And it's going to be like, it's not going to be like a literal crown. It's going to be like a symbolic, like, you know.
The child is going to be the child within.
Uh-huh.
Silver Rain is, I don't know, man. I mean, I agree. I think we'll probably see these elements going forward.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
A key, a rose, and a door. Oh, wait, hold on.
Why did I like it in that book?
Because that whole book is oriented around these things in a very different way.
Sure. Yeah, this book. Let's go on.
Yeah.
So this is Locke finally looking at the painting of Lamora Canthus and realizing why Sabbatha left. I don't have a lot to say about this one. I just really liked it. This is the part of the ending I really did love. So I wanted to read it out loud. And it's half my book club, so I get to do that.
Yep.
Jean remained at the door, staring at the gray wrapped package. Finally, Locke worked up the nerve to seize it and tear away the cover. It was an oil painting. Locke stared at it for some time, feeling the lines on his face draw taut as a bowstring, feeling moistness well in the corner of his eyes. Of course, he said. Of course. Lamora Canthus. And wife, I presume. He made a noise that was half dour laugh and half strangled sob, and threw the painting on the bed. The black-robed man in the portrait looked nothing like Locke. He was broad-shouldered with the classically dark, sharp aspect of a Theron patrician. The woman beside him bore the same sort of haughty glamour down to her bones, but she was much fairer skin. Her thick, flowing hair was as red as fresh blood. I'm everything Sabbatha was afraid of, said Locke. Tailored to fit. I'm sorry as hell I got you into this, said Jean. Shit. Don't go wobbly now on me now, Jean. I was as good as dead, and the only way out of this was to go through, all the way to Patience's endgame. Now she's played it. We can go after Sabbatha, said Jean. She's had half an hour. How far could she get? I want to, said Locke, wiping his eyes. Gods, I can still smell her everywhere in this room, and gods, I want her back. He slumped onto the bed. But I promised to trust her. I promised to respect her decisions, no matter how much it fucking cut me. If she has to run from this, if she has to be away from me, then for as long as she needs, I'll accept it. If she wants to find me again, what could stop her? Jean put his hands on Locke's shoulders and bowed his head and thought. You're gonna be fucking miserable to live with for a couple of weeks, he said at last. Probably, said Locke with a rueful chuckle. I'm sorry. This is a good book.
It's great.
This is a good book.
I love these good boys.
Mm-hmm.
They're great. It's good. I still don't know why Locke, the confidence trickster with a million talents, doesn't just think like, oh, I mean, anybody can have a painting commission.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, the thing I love about it actually is that, like, in the earlier scene, she says the resemblance is uncanny, and like the immediate thought that everyone had, probably Locke included, was, oh, we're going to see a picture of Lamora Canthus and it's going to look just like Locke Lamora. And of course that doesn't make any sense, because
right.
why would he look just like that? Doesn't make any sense. Why would that happen? And so your brain takes time to catch up with that, and by the time it does, we've seen what she's talking about here. That no, this looks just like Sabbatha.
This is a comment Andrew made on the previous slide, but I just had to read because I liked it. As an aspiring writer writing fantasy, I have to stop myself from falling back to prophecy to show the reader, see, I planned it all.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is like that is the way in which prophecy is a crutch, right? That is the way in which we roll our eyes at it. And it's funny because in a heist story, which is what these all are, you have a million opportunities to prove that you planned it all along, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to. Yeah, you don't need prophecy. Anyway, this is I I almost buy it. I just like I'm confused. I don't know how to feel, you know?
The part I love is that the end is kind of just okay, well, here's another misadventure, and Locke and John are gonna go into the sunset together as always, figuring out what the hell they're gonna do next. Like, I love you're gonna be fucking miserable to live with for a couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
It it, it will it's funny because like I wonder if there on a level I will actually be surprised if the next book once again opens up with Locke being pathetic and miserable and Jean having to pull him out of it
Mm-hmm.
because that has now been how the last two books ended.
Mm-hmm.
And like I get if like I get it being a pattern, I get it being a character trait of Locke's, but like now that we've pointed it out so clearly, can he do it again? Like wouldn't Locke just be like, "Oh, I'm doing the moping thing again," and then they would be like, "Yeah, let's do something else," you know? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I am I guess if I had to make a prediction for the next book, I don't think Locke is going to start out the next book wallowing in bed and drinking and Locke having to save him.
What's he gonna be doing? What's he gonna be doing? What is your prediction for what Locke is doing at the beginning of the Thorn of Emberlane?
He's gonna be heisting. He's gonna be heisting.
He's gonna be mid heist
He's gonna be conning. Yeah,
in media heist.
in media heist. Yeah. All right.
Let's
Next
do this. Let's do this epilogue.
slide. The falconer recovers his senses and takes his revenge. Patience is on the pavement beside a warehouse, just passing under a swaying orange alchemical lamp. The first crow shoots past her hood from behind, brushing it, squawing and cawing all the way. She whirls to see where it came from. The next dozen birds fly directly into her face. Eyes, nose, cheeks, lips. There is no time to be merciful. The ball of sorcery-maddened crows pecks and claws at anything soft, anything vulnerable. Patience barely has time to scream before she is blind and on her back, flailing as more crows pour out of the sky like a black cloud given flesh. She remembers her sorcery and half manages the spell. A dozen birds flash into cinders, but a dozen more take their place, seeking neck and forehead, wrists and fingers. The falconer presses Patience down to the pavement, the writhing flock a pure extension of his will, a crushing, dark hand. Grinning madly, he channels a thought sending to her, hurling his sigil against her shattered mental defenses. And then, is this weakness, mother? You never understood my talents. The truth is, they never made me weak. The truth is that they gave me wings. The beaks and claws of the carrion birds are driven by human intelligence. In moments, they have opened Patience's wrists, pulped her hands, peeled the skin from her neck, torn out her eyes and tongue. She is helpless long before she dies. The falconer disperses his clouds of winged minions and sags against the window frame, gasping for breath. He has expended so much of himself. He needs food. He must tear the house apart for anything useful. He needs clothing, money, boots. He must be away as soon as he's eaten, away from this nest of his enemies, away to recover himself. The time of quiet, mother? He hums the words softly to himself, savoring the eerie sensation of the dream steel vibrating in his throat. Oh, I think the last fucking thing your friends are going to enjoy is a time of quiet. Hobbling uneasily, laughing to himself, he moves carefully down the stairs, first food, then clothes, then to gather strength for the work ahead. The long, bloody work ahead.
Okay,
Yay.
positive stuff first. This
Uh-huh.
dude making himself fingers and a tongue out of this like liquid metal shit is cool as fuck, and him killing his mom with a bunch of birds is pretty fucking sweet. Um, I don't give a shit about the Falcon. Like, here's if the Falconer is going to be the antagonist of this series, then the next book needs to put in some work to make
Uh-huh.
me give a shit about him, because I just don't. I
I
just This is so out of left field at the very end of the, and I get it's an epilogue. Like, the story is over. This is all set up for the next book. Totally get that. And I hope that Lynch looks at this and says, "Okay, I need to put some work into this character then." And I need to I also need to understand why he can't just immediately go kill Locke
yeah,
and just have it be over.
that's
Um,
true. I kind of wish he was this scary earlier.
mm-hmm.
You know, because like this is just awesome. Like I think this is great. This is what I was kind of was one of the many things I was talking about in terms of like the dark, mysterious and subtle but also powerful magic of this book. And the this is just so evil and awful, right? Like the very graphic descriptions of the birds just like ripping his mother apart is so horrible. I just love this kind of stuff,
Hmm.
obviously. um like a broken record over here. But the thing is, this is the epilogue. This is the end of the book.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I think we talked about this, before we started recording. That just how it does seem like Lynch changed his mind on how he was gonna have magic in his story
Yeah.
between the first book and this one, because the Falconer just doesn't seem very formidable at all in that book. He seems like a dude. If he says Jean's true name, he can control him, and he also has access. He can control this one bird that he keeps with him. But like you're just not super impressed with his skills, and then they
Yeah.
get the better of him, and they torture him to insanity, and it's like, yeah, he's a punk, whatever. But like here, they're portraying him to be just this very formidable monster,
Yeah.
and there is a bit of conflict there.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
setting all of that aside, though, I still think this is a pretty awesome ending to this story.
yeah. I mean, I think the most annoying part about the Falconer in the first book was that they couldn't kill him. Right. That like it wasn't like he was a pain in the ass and he was powerful, but not like a god. But they couldn't just kill him, because if they did that, then the Bonds Magi would destroy them. So like they were kind of hamstrung in how they could deal with him. Um, and he could like control a falcon and spy on them without them knowing it. That was pretty useful. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing that like I totally agree with you that this is badass, and like it's a statement. It's a statement to end your book on this. But like I love it in the moment. I don't love what it means for the story going forward. That's my problem with it. That I just it feels so weird to me in these books about this heisty thief. Um, now like ends with this silver tongued, which
Yeah,
is just the perfect metaphor, by the way. Silver tongue, I love it.
yeah,
Like uber mage, like
yeah.
threatening world domination.
Y- You know,
Um,
I I kept thinking repeatedly while reading this book. Um, I kept mistakenly being like, well, the mages can't lie. So, and then I'd be like, no, that's not this story. That's several other stories about mages that I have read in my life.
mhm,
The idea that magicians can't lie. It's like you have to give your magician some kind of weakness
mhm.
that your heroes can exploit through cleverness. And the problem, I think, at this point is that the mages don't appear to have any real weaknesses.
Mm.
Like they're way too strong, and like you said, it leaves you with this sense of like, well, how is Locke supposed to deal with this? And I'm sure the next book, if they do go this direction, Lynch will have some clever way that they can actually maneuver around the mages. He's as we know, he's really good at throwing in complications and then having the characters have some believable and fun way of getting out of it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's really we really have no idea what that would be at this point.
yeah, totally. Yeah. Um, I, I we'll see. We'll see. You know,
Yeah.
I want to be positive. Like I said, I will read anything about Locke Lamora and Jean Tannen. I will read every word that's written about these two characters because I love them to death. They're so fun, and even in the parts that I didn't like about this book, I still enjoyed those two characters. So wherever Lynch goes with it, I will be there on day one. But yeah, it's a little bit of a letdown in this book for sure. I do think, as we talked about at the beginning and throughout the show, I do think I have a greater appreciation for what the story was doing than I did going into this conversation, which is why, folks, talk about the stuff you read and watch with other people, because I have found that will always make you like it better.
Yep.
Always. So that's why I love this book club. And that's it for this book, huh?
Yeah. Looking forward to the next one. I'm sure we'll cover it whenever it comes out.
Mm-hmm. I think it's supposed to come out next year. I think. I thought Lynch said he finished it sometime last year, and I thought it was originally scheduled for this year, but I looked it up recently and it said 2021. So let's look it up. The
Yeah.
Thorn
Let's
of Emberling.
let's look it up. Let's look it up.
There's even a cover
This
on
is-
Amazon.
This is good
How does it
stuff.
have 4 out of 5 stars, Amazon? Come on.
You know, I mean, maybe he sent it out to early readers.
Yeah, and they put their review on Amazon.
I got to be an early reader once, Scott.
Oh, here's the 1 star. This will never be published.
Oh, the internet is just a hellhole.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when it's out. He submitted a draft. What's Cinder Spires? I don't know what that is.
Jesse in the chat says that that he doesn't think there's a release date announced yet. What I'm looking at says basically don't trust it, but
okay.
But he has submitted a draft, so that's good. A draft is something.
Okay, let me see. Prof brings up a good point. Actually, Doors of Stone isn't even on even on Amazon. They've said no, we're not doing it.
Doors of Stone is not real.
Oh, I want it.
There's actually a lot of shit on the if you go to the Goodreads page, it actually has kind of a book jacket summary of what this book is going to be about, which I'm not going to read because maybe people don't want to be spoiled, but
that's cool.
You can go there if you want. It's the Goodreads page for The Thorn of Emberlane if you're curious about what he's thinking for the next one.
I have read no Jim Butcher books. Have you read any Jim Butcher? I've read nothing of Jim Butcher. So the answer to that is no. I've read no Dresden. I've read no Cinder Spires or whatever that is. So no, none of it. Woefully unread that Jim Butcher in my household. All right. Want to talk about next month? Let's talk about next month.
That.
Boom.
I think that's a good idea.
So, if you guys will recall, we actually had a tie going into last month, and we flipped a coin to decide which book we were covering. The tie was between the Diamond Age and the Republic of Thieves, and Republic of Thieves won. And we were trying to decide what we wanted to do with that tie, and we thought, well, instead of doing a vote, let's just let the people have what they want. And we decided that next month's book is going to be the Diamond Age. So that's everyone gets what they want in a tie. It just takes a little bit longer, which is exactly what happened in this book.
That's right. And this is what I wanted to happen anyway, because I really wanted to cover the Diamond Age personally. I love Neil Stephenson, and I'm always happy to cover Neil Stephenson.
Yeah, of course. Neil Stephenson and Matt are like me and Stephen King.
Is this the first Neil Stephenson book that we're doing?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So that's great. Yeah, finally.
It will be the second Neil Stephenson book I have read. The only other one I've read is Snow Crash. So I am excited about this. I enjoyed that book, and I'm more excited to talk to you specifically about this book almost than I am to read it, because I'm sure you have a lot of wonderful, interesting things to say about this book.
Yeah, now you'll be able to read that essay I wrote like 7 years ago and get a better appreciation for what the heck I'm talking about.
You wrote an essay about this book?
I wrote that essay about Stevenson that was the first viral thing that was on our website a million years ago.
Was that the one that one guy picked up on? And
yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wonderful. And he did not like it. Was viral because he did not agree with you.
He thought I wasn't nearly hard enough on Steven was really the problem. He was basically like, this guy's insightful, but he doesn't take Stevenson to task for his choices. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. No, of course I don't. I think Stevenson's a genius. And yeah. Anyway, that'll be fun to talk about when we get there.
Daniel, I think the perception of Stephen King being bad at endings is a misperception. I think it's wrong, and I don't agree with it. So that's why I'm gushing on Stephen King.
and Neil Stephenson's gotten much better at that recently.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I didn't love the way Snow Crash ended. So
I mean, Scott, like, that's the thing, Scott Lynch, you set the bar too high, man.
Yeah.
You know, you make two amazing books and then you make a pretty good book. What do you want us to do?
How dare you? How dare you, Scott Lynch?
Yeah.
write
Yeah.
worse on your first book, clearly.
It's,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah.
Nah, I love him. I love him. Okay, so yeah, next month will be The Diamond Age by Neil Stephenson. We will be meeting on Friday, June 26th at 9:30 p.m. Central Time to talk all about this book. There will be an announcement post hitting doofmedia.com, probably the first of the month. I usually do that on the first. It'll also have a link for you to buy the book via Amazon. So if you're wanting to read along with us, you can buy it through us, and a little percentage goes into our pockets too, which is nice. It's nice when that happens. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just you buying the book. You just click our link instead of typing Amazon.com. It's easy.
Yep.
I am very much looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be good fun, and I hope everyone will attend. So that is it. Thank you so much for those of you that tuned in live. It was a fun conversation. I don't like when I'm negative. I really don't. And I appreciate all your pushback on my negativity to make me like this book more, because that's what you guys in the chat right now did. So thank you so much for that. If you are listening via the podcast, please come hang out with us live next month. It's a lot of fun. I know our time zones are a little weird and it's complicated, but hopefully you guys can make it. I think it's enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody enjoys it who shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you like what we do here at Doof Media and you want to see more of it, then head on over to patreon.com/Doof Media and consider donating $1 a month or whatever else you can afford. And then you'll get access to our private Discord server, as well as the ability to vote for which books we cover on this book club and tons of other cool benefits. So go check it out.
Absolutely. And don't forget, next week, on the first of the month, is Game Club. We have book club on the last Friday of the month, and on the first Saturday of the month, we have our Game Club, which is just like this, except video games. And we all love those. They're going to be talking about the video game Transistor right here on this YouTube channel. So hopefully you guys can attend that too. I gotta go play that game. Shit, I better do that.
Sounds good.
All right, folks, we'll see you all next month. Hooray!
Yay.
2 hours and two. I'm telling you, man. Like, it's the Scott and Matt time is just a little bit after 2 hours. It's not. It's usually like it's very rarely like 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's usually anywhere from 2:01 to 2:13 ish.
Yeah.
No matter what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. You can set your watch by it. Set your watch and warrant.
Thanks, Victory. We appreciate that. Oh, Transistor is pretty short. Yeah, I'm trying to. Got to take a break from the Final Fantasies. Yeah, so all my free time this week was reading for book club, so I didn't read any Pale. So I'm behind.
It's funny because this book club, I've never felt this way before. But I feel this anxiety that like Scott Lynch is going to randomly listen to this episode and his feelings are going to be hurt.
He's not.
And I'm going to be like, no, we didn't mean it, Scott Lynch. We love you. It's just what we said. Our expectations were too high. Please don't be sad. I've never felt this way before, but I feel this way now.
All right, hear me. Hey, I'm gonna get close to the microphone for a second here. Scott, if you're listening, I love you. Your books are really great. Your characters are really wonderful, and you should write more books because they're really good. Scott, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. There, we're covered. Don't worry about it. Done.
Okay, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate that. What the hell, man? What? Stop. Why is Siri twigging out today?
Twigging out?
Twigging out.
Is that a twig reference?
You've heard that expression before? No? It's
no.
A common expression.
No, it's not.
Common expression in English. What are you talking about?
We're all over here twigging out. I believe it's wigging out is the expression.
Oh, man. Oh. I don't know what. Are you from the Berenstain Bear universe where they say wigging out?
I think actually wigging is like a is that a Whedon? Is it a Whedon thing?
I don't know.
You mentioned the word twig. That's your mistake, Matt. You mentioned the word twig, and you know what's going to happen
Twig to
every
bird.
time.
Matt is hinting at something clearly.
This is my Scott Lynchian three levels of twists. Oh, that's awesome, Jess. I have not, because I've got to save it just in case we do a twig podcast one day. I think it's a Whedon thing to say I've got the Wiggins. I think wigging out was not a Whedon thing, but I've got the Wiggins sounds very Whedon-y. Don't you read too much into just in case. Damn it, I did it again.
Scott, you can't be trusted with live, you know.
No, we can't go live anymore.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, how's everyone doing? It's Friday night. It's almost June. How are we doing?
I'm doing good.
So I have no idea what this book is about. Let me read it here. A young lady's illustrated primer. Interesting.
Primer.
Oh, shut up! Shut up! If you're gonna be like this the whole Stevenson pod, I don't even want to do it anymore. Elliot can take my place.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to May either. It went by real fast. Like, I feel like March took forever.
Yeah.
And May flew by.
March took a couple months.
Yeah.
May. I can't accept that May is already over. There are things where I was like, well, still early May, so I have plenty of time for that.
No, it's the 29th. Wrong. Oh, that's cool. You've been drawing. Awesome. What else?
Yeah, Jess, I ordered a mask in like early March, which arrived this week. I had enough time to 3D print a mask for myself in the time it took for this mask to arrive. Actually, that statement doesn't really work because it only took a day and a half to 3D print it. But the point is, I gave up on it ever arriving and 3D printed my own mask, and then it arrived.
What is happening? What is happening?
Where? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at if we were monster people. I'm an eye, and you're a snake in creative.
What channel are you looking at?
Creative.
Oh.
You gotta scroll up a little bit.
Okay. I am a snake. Where am I a snake?
You gotta scroll up.
Okay, I'm a snake. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm a scary eye. I love it.
Sure, why not?
I love it.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. I feel like a snake.
Why is Dawn ask feed me Scott, I need flesh? Is that like feed me comma Scott or feed Scott to me? Why not post? Oh my gosh, y'all are ridiculous. Oh man. Later, Prof. Enjoy Pale. I will be reading that chapter next week.
Shall we close it down, folks?
Yeah, let's go ahead and close it down.
I'm just distracted by Discord now, so
maybe I'll go read some last week's Pale. Oh yeah, because Pale Reflections comes out in about 5 hours. So I have to read those chapters so I can listen to that and critique our partners. That was a joke.
Good night, everyone.
Later, folks. We'll catch you next month. Thanks for hanging out.